Hey, what's up, guys? Shadow Taker Gaming here, back with another video. Today we're going to do a small tutorial on a game that I've actually really been enjoying lately. I was really enjoying Atlas with friends, and I still do enjoy that game, and I still love the people I was playing with. I haven't been able to do that lately. So, been playing a lot of Space Engineers. Absolutely loving this game. So I figured I'd share with people how I tend to start my survival playthroughs. The reason for this is because the game is a sandbox game based on creativity. It's all about building stuff and doing stuff and getting out there. And if you're on PC, you can employ a bunch of mods to make it harder, which I'll be doing some mod spotlight videos on here soon. Now, when you first load up the game, you're of course not going to have this continue game button. So what you'll do is you'll click new game. Okay. And there are these various scenarios here. So you got Sparks of the Future, you've got the first jump. The first jump was a scenario that Keen, the software developer, introduced. It's a scenario with a fairly linear story that'll teach you the basics of the game. Super duper basic. If you're going to be playing survival, I recommend the Learn to Survive scenario. Now, this scenario does have problems, and I'll tell you about them right now. The spots where you go to do the various tasks to get through this are not GPS'd. They rely on beacons, and those beacons have a fairly short range. So once you can't see those beacons anymore, you kind of don't know where, if you have to backtrack, you may have to go back to and stuff. So that's what makes this not ideal. Okay, let me get over to here. And the other one here that's really cool is Never Surrender. This is basically a survival scenario with an end game where Keen has built some pirate drones and stuff. And there are achievements for doing this up to, I think, like 100 waves. I haven't actually done this scenario yet. I do have a save utilizing it, so once I get a bunch of stuff built, I will be trying that out. I may do a video of me doing that. The really interesting ones here are also Lost Colony, which was the first kind of big story scenario that Keen did after the linear first jump. This one's not linear. It has a story, all of the stories in data pads that you'll find, and this introduces a unique way of them trying to tell a story. So basically, you show up at this colony, looks like everybody's dead, you're trying to figure out why that happened and what's going on. So you go through and you'll learn various bits of history and stuff like that via data pads. So there's a lot of reading. It is actually pretty good from what I've seen. I haven't played that one yet. Now, I have played some of the next one here, Frostbite. This is the second to last scenario that Keen has introduced. This one has voice acting, and again, isn't necessarily linear, but it tells a story. And your job is to salvage and things like that. So you won't have the focus that you will on a normal survival game of mining and gathering a bunch of resources and stuff. There are already bases and stuff built, and there's already things to loot, and there's already drones coming in that will try and kill you, and then if you beat them, you can salvage them. So it's more of a salvage heavy story. Actually, from what I've seen of it, and from what I've seen of the storyline and experienced myself, it's really good. The latest one that came out with the Wasteland update is a scenario called Scrap Race. And Scrap Race is pretty much what it says. It's essentially a Mad Max race. You need other people for this. You can do it solo, but it's kind of boring and such. So if you want to get friends together, and you can do a private, or you can do a friends, or you can even make it public and just get randoms in, and you want to race a bunch of vehicles that Keen gives you, because they more or less give them to you and you have some time to modify them. It's good. It's good. Um, I haven't talked about Sparks of the Future, because what Sparks of the Future is it's just a big asteroid station with it's basically a city, and so experiencing that um, solo is basically like walking around the mall by yourself. Now, there's the regular Sparks of the Future that comes in, or if you go to the Steam Workshop, if you're on PC, they have the extended version. And the extended edition adds in a bunch of the DLC blocks and some various other things. It's very nice, but to save on load times and stuff, the DLC version is a workshop item. Now, so that's all the scenarios that Keen gives you. If we click here on Workshop, this is Steam Workshop content. Now, I have various things here. I should probably get rid of this one, because this one's more or less a creative mode thing. It's interesting, but it's definitely not bad. There's some interesting things that you could blueprint there, but it takes forever to load. These I haven't tried. Crash Carrier is basically a different start. Basically, your ship was shot down, and so now you start where that thing crashed, and that's what you use as your starting resources, as opposed to mining stone for, like, a couple of hours. The scenario I really wanted to talk about for workshop content is this one. This is called Escape from Mars, and it's Wickerell's Escape from Mars. It was originally done by Duckroll, but Wickerell picked up maintaining it, so it works again. So basically, in this one, again, it's a crash scenario, but it has a unique story that has a bunch of voice acting in it, and it also has a unique way that you unlock your tech, as opposed to the normal progression system where you just build something and then you have access to that, whatever blocks the progression system allows you to unlock. This has a system where when you get close to something, the NPC AI I believe it's probably a script that's written into the game, will hack that thing and unlock the tech for you. And the things that you don't have access to at the beginning of the game are things like oxygen and hydrogen generators and oxygen hydrogen tanks, and you're on Mars. So you only have so much oxygen and hydrogen that you have available. Then there's also, like, the first thing that you'll probably unlock will be guns, because you're expected to go and find the drone patrols, or the drone, I guess they call them patrols, but yeah, the drone couriers that are carrying resources that you might need, and stop them and loot them. So that's really cool. And your goal is to basically just get off the planet. Very cool, very nice. Real interesting scenario. Different way to play the game. This is just, I downloaded this for the blueprint of the ship. This is just a base. This is a racetrack somebody made. I'm looking forward to giving that a shot. Most recent thing that's come out on the workshop that looks interesting is this Imperial Naval Academy DLC. So we'll look at that. But then there's, so you can find all kinds of stuff on the workshop to look at, and if you're looking for scenarios. Most of the time, how I start a new game these days is I'll come over here to custom game. And now you have the alien planet start, which will start you in a star system. The crashed red, which doesn't start you in a star system, just a bunch of asteroids around. Dead drop arena, which I'm assuming is another, well, from what I've seen is another PvP scenario. It looks like it's atmospheric fighters. You have Earth planet, which looks like it now spawns a star system, but it's an old easy start base. So you'll start with a full refinery, a full assembler, a grinder pit, a welder pit, some of the terrible first iterations of vehicles that Keen made for mining and doing other stuff. There's the empty world start, which spawns you into space in your spacesuit, and it's just a big empty hunk of space. But you can use that if you want to paste in the custom planets that you can find on the workshop and make your own custom star system. Really cool way to go about doing that. Green Station, I believe, spawns you in a star system as well. Lone Survivor, from what I've experienced, is an asteroid field start. And then you have your Mars planet start, your moon base start, the original red ship start, which is going to start you in an asteroid field, as well as the rival platform. And then you can just start in star system. So what I'll do is I'll start in star system, and when I play, generally I'll set it to friends, and I'll crank up the number to 10, so if my friends that have this game do want to join me, they can. I normally play modded, but we're not going to look at that right now. But basically, if you click mods and you have mods from the Steam Workshop, this will bring up your mod list. Give me a second, because I have a lot. And these are the mods that you have available. And then you can use this button here to put them over there, or if you want them all on, you could just use that. And it'll move all these over there. And then you would just hit OK, and it will add your mods to your save. What I do normally is I'll come over here to my advanced world settings. This gives you access to your character's inventory size. I normally use 10x because there's only so much space that you can carry. I generally won't mess with the assembler, refinery, or welding speeds, or the grinding speed. Now, basically what this means is they'll affect the speed that you do these tasks, the speed at which your assemblers and refineries works, the speed at which you weld or your ships weld, or if you have a mod that's welding, how fast it welds. Same with grinding. Blocks inventory size I usually leave at realistic, because that way you don't run into issues with, if you do have to turn that down later or something, it truncates all your inventory. It's not cool. Environment hostility. This controls the, I believe, settings for asteroids mostly, meteor showers. So if you want a chance at getting something like platinum on the Earth-like planet and stuff, you can crank this up. Safe means there are no meteor storms. Normal means there are going to be some, and they might hit your stuff, they might not. Most of the time they won't. Cataclysm I've never actually seen, but I'm assuming that means even more. And Armageddon is probably fairly ridiculous knowing this game. Lots of voxel deformation and everything else. Now, asteroid amount is the amount of asteroids in space. So you can change that if you like. Sound mode, there's an arcade sound mode and a realistic sound mode. I prefer realistic sounds. And then I generally won't, mess with those, right? For day length, this is, for day and night are balanced while you're on a planet. So for every 2 hours of sunlight you'll get 2 hours of nighttime. That's important because if you're using something like solar panels, having 2 or more hours of nighttime can be rough. I normally go for 4-hour days. It's not bad. The object slider here is for floating objects. So I think I'm going to lower it down to its suggested around 64. There we go. Max ship size, I'm not worried about. Max blocks per player, I'm also not worried about. Total PCU, I usually crank this up a bit, just in case I want to build something fairly large. it means that other people can still build stuff as well. Max backup saves I never mess with. Optimal spawn distance. This is like if you're playing with friends, you don't want them to spawn 16 kilometers away or more. So I normally turn that down to about 5,500. It means they'll generally spawn about 5.5 kilometers from me, depending on how they spawn. And we're alright. So I usually turn on delete respawn ship. And in-game scripts. That means you have to run the game in experimental mode, but scripts can be a lifesaver. You see all these third-person view, air tightness, all that, those are all on by default. You turn them off if you really want. One that I normally turn off is spawn with tools. Because normally your respawn ship will have tools in it. I will leave it on for right now though, but that's one I normally turn off. You can enable wolves, which will come and attack you, and they occasionally drop stuff, same with the spiders, depending on what planets that you're on. And then I never really mess with any of these. And so, okay, so now we can go ahead and start. So you click start, it goes to the load screen here. This is probably going to load fairly quickly since it's vanilla. I'm sorry guys, I'm trying to keep this video short. There's just so much to go over. What I'll probably do is load up a different save here in a moment, just to show you what the start looks like after you've built up a little bit, because it's gonna be easier to do that. But okay. So you have all of these different spawns that you can pick. You can spawn out in the middle of nowhere in a spacesuit. You can spawn in the default space pod, or you can drop on Pertram, Triton, Europa, the Earth-like planet, the alien planet, on the moon, on Titan, or on Mars. So we're going to go with the Earth-like start, so I can show you guys the Earth-like planet. So we've got Earth-like here. Click respawn. And as you can hear, we're falling. Okay. So I'm going to press the V key here. And as you can see, oh gosh. Okay, we're just going to fall. Because I don't have any control really. Now, the drop pod does have a parachute. They originally had those thrusters there because that way you could fire your thrusters and slow you down. The thing is, this pod doesn't have a gyroscope, so I can't control pitch, yaw, any of that. And the thrusters are not on a group for me to be able to use them. So we're just kind of at the mercy of gravity and such. So we're gonna do that, and oh, I wish it had come around and locked the landing gear, but it didn't. Okay. Let's see if we can get it on our... Okay, we're not going to be able to flip it because we're in Earth-like gravity. That's fine. So let's switch back to first-person view here. It's fine. It's upside down. That's okay. So we've got a big battery here. This should be our survival kit on the back here. Yeah. That serves as our respawn point. Allows us to fill our O2 and stuff. Let me open my helmet here with J. That also gives us access to the inventory. If you'll notice, I spawned with a set of tools on me. On this side, we should have our O2H2 generator. There should always be bottles in there and a little bit of ice. And let's check our seat here real quick. Okay, so yeah, I know it's disorienting, guys. There's nothing really I can do about it. I'm sorry. I don't have a lot of control right here. So, in our passenger seat, we have a rifle. We have this data pad. This data pad is for the economy update. It'll show you the location of the nearest station. So there we go. So this is your basic escape pod. Real nice. Hang on just one sec, and I will load up a save to show you guys how I normally start up a survival playthrough. Because it's going to be easy. My HUD will look a little different in this save because I am using mods, but I'll go over those later. Like I said, I've got a mod that I really want to do a mod spotlight on, so that'll be the first thing I do here soon. And hopefully we get that taken care of in the near future. I may record that tonight and upload it tomorrow, or I may just record it sometime tomorrow and upload it the next day, on Tuesday probably. We'll see, we'll see. It's a really cool looking space elevator, by the way. The ship I want to say is one of the red ships that was designed by Zockwell. His Steam Workshop is fantastic, and he now works for Keen, so I believe he's also making YouTube videos again. Now, if you'll notice for this save, the load time is longer, and that's because of all of the mods. There are quite a few mods on this save. And that's because some of them add different things. Now, if you're on a planet, okay, that's new. If you're on a planet that has an atmosphere, what I would suggest is using wind power instead of solar power. It's more consistent and it's easy enough to get. Now, the sky looks a little different here because, well, playing with Skybox mod. So this is our pod that you saw, right? Our survival kit's still in the back. This is still our H2O2 generator. Here's our battery. There's our survival kit. Pay no attention to these 3 blocks. But what I've done is I ground off some of the armor, as you can tell. And the reason I did that is because once these armor blocks come off, they're steel plate, which I can then use to place one of these block frames. Light armor blocks. See, there's 1 steel plate in there. So, with the armor that I ground off, I built this tower, the base tower first, all the way up to here. And then I set a wind turbine down on it. Now, the first thing you have that lets you build parts is your survival kit. You can put stone here in the survival kit, on this top part, and then go to your production window and produce ingots, and that will give you iron, nickel, and silicon, as well as some gravel. The gravel's kind of useless, but anyways. But then you can use that to produce your computers, your construction components, your plates, solar cells, girders, and displays, as well as data pads. So that's how you end up building that stuff. And then if you were to die and need tools, you can remake your tools using the grade 1 tools using the survival kit as well. And let me pick up this little bit of stone and I'll show you. So I have that stone in my inventory. Alright. So we go here to our survival kit. And we pop this. Let me get rid of that order of ingots. There we go. So we pop this in there. We go to our production tab. And if you just left click this, it's going to order 1. If you control left click, it'll order 10. Shift left click will order 100. And I hold control shift and I'll order 1,000. Now see how it's making those, and I'm getting a little bit of nickel, a little bit of silicon, and some iron here. Okay. I can use that to produce all of these motors. So that's how I built those wind turbines. And once I had 2 of those built, I built this basic refinery here. This block right here. Okay, basic refinery. And the reason that I did that is because the basic refinery not only processes stone automatically, it gives you a better return. So it does it faster and automatically and gives you a better return. After I have that built, I built this block, which is a basic assembler. The basic assembler, let me pull up the ghost version of it, only has a connector port on one side. Okay? So I put that side facing the basic refinery, and now it will automatically use the conveyor system to pull whatever it needs through from the refinery to the assembler to make whatever parts that I need. And then the basic assembler there makes many more things. You can make bulletproof glass, you can make canvas if you need it for parachutes, you can make detector components, you can make medical components, you can make the metal grids, power cells, radio communications components, and basic ammo for your rifles. It also allows you to make the tier 1 tools, so the enhanced tools. And it allows you to make hydrogen and oxygen bottles. So it allows you to make grade 1, basic and grade 1 tools, your rifle, and then bottles. The other mods that are, the other tools that you're seeing there are mods. This is a concrete gun, this is a paint gun, and then I have the hydrogen and oxygen cells because I like that they move through small containers. But yeah, this is basically how I start. Now the reason, okay, I should clarify this as well. The reason that I have this rotor here, and I put a small head on it and connected it to this, is because power passes through the rotor. So, if I, oh wait, I can't, there's no control panel on that. There should be one here though. Okay, so, we look at our control panel, we see that our battery is fully charged. I could actually turn that battery off, and my survival kit still works. Because the power generation from those 5 wind turbines is keeping this little pod active through the rotors, through the small head on that rotor. And if people like, I will do a demonstration on how to do that as well. I generally play with the progression system, so the first thing that I do after I land generally is, if I have access to the landing gear, if they're locked or if they're not, I'll grind one down to below the functional line and then weld it back up. And that counts as me having built that landing gear. So now I've unlocked all of the blocks that I will unlock for building a landing gear. The other thing I'll do is I'll take a light armor block, and I'll usually go with the small one. Hang on, I didn't realize that wasn't a small, right? So we'll take a small light armor block. We drop it like that. It only takes the one plate, but it's not fully built yet. So you weld it up like that, and now you've built that block, and you'll unlock everything that it unlocks. Then I'll build the basic assembler, basic refinery. Those unlock blocks as well. And then once I have that done, I'll be real careful when I do this, but I'll grind this down under functional, which is the O2H2 generator, and weld it back up. And that counts as me having built that, and I unlock those blocks. So I've unlocked blocks for building the windmills, I've unlocked blocks for building the landing gear, the H2O2 generator, the basic refinery, basic assembler. That should give you access to that rotor and allow you to do this. And again, the reason that we do this is because now we have that fully charged battery, and we're able to run our survival kit here pretty much indefinitely. So that'll allow us to go out and look for ore deposits when it's day, and everything else. So I've built these 2 small cargo containers because what I intend to do is, while it's night out and I can't see anything, go down here and just mine a bunch more stone. Now, as you'll notice, I dug down here, I dug through the dirt, which is all this, and then the voxels changed into stone. You'll get much more stone than you will from these voxels than you will from the sandy, dirty looking ones. And so I just plan to come down here and mine all this and throw it into my refinery and just pool resources and most likely build a rotor and then take this ore detector. Hopefully it's a technology that I know. Let's find out. Yeah. Take this ore detector off, put it on my rover. Probably won't take that antenna off. And head out over there, and I know there's some iron, I think, over there. And probably some other stuff. And I'll go over there and grab it. Now I chose to spawn on Titan because I know that Titan has an atmosphere here. And while it doesn't have oxygen, there should be some sources of ice, so it should be okay. And that'll make me getting up into space a lot easier for this particular playthrough, but it's not something I would recommend when you're just starting out. It can become real frustrating if you can't find ice. But I think I've gone on long enough for the basics of this, and I hope that it was enlightening. If anybody has any questions, feel free to ask in the comment section. I will definitely get back to you, and if you'd like to see me do a video on something specific, then we'll be doing that. Let me know and I'll do that. I will be doing a mod spotlight on this mod for these 3 blocks here. This is a mod called Daily Needs Survival Kit. As you can see on this particular save, up in the top left corner, there are those 3 bars for food, water, and stamina. And yeah, that mod adds that mechanic, and it adds the fact that you need to eat to the game. So really good, really cool. Having said that, we're going to go ahead and exit out to our main menu. Not going to worry about saving any progress because we didn't really do anything. And that's it for our basics of space engineers. I'll be doing some videos explaining a bit more in depth on some of the mechanics, and I hope that you guys enjoyed the video. I hope everybody's having a wonderful morning, evening, night, whenever you happen to see this. And I'll see you guys in the next video.